الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. As we continue in this great treatise by the great Imam Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, in this tremendous book entitled Buloogh al-Maraam, obtaining the objective or obtaining the goal, by the great Imam who died 856 after the migration of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And the time now is currently 6:58 p.m. Saturday, November the 9th, 2024, which agrees with the Islamic date, currently the 8th of Jumad al-Ula, technically Laylat al-Ahad, the year or عام 1446 بعد هجرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. We are still in the chapter لا يزال الحديث موصولا في باب النكاح. وقد انتهينا من شرح حديث غيلان بن سلمة of the Sahabi, as we're still in the chapter of marriage, and the matters pertaining to what has been established. And from what is important, everyone, is to look at the mahasin ad-din, to look at the great traits of the religion, of how in order it is. And that also puts yaqeen, puts surety in the heart pertaining to the truth of what was revealed from Allah. That this type of order, this type of decorum of how the religion is something that is astonishing. That you'll find that there's no millah, there's no religion or way of life in this order, and what has been revealed in this type of detail. Giving the actual number and affairs that are conducted, like we said, in the matters pertaining to families and building them, or what is allowed and what is not allowed. So those matters, as we mentioned, from them we finished the narration of Salam an Abi radiallahu anhu, that we mentioned the hadith of Ghaylan. I'm sorry, subhanAllah. Now, the hadith of Ghaylan ibn Salamah, we spoke about that narration. أسلم وله 10 نسوة فأسلمنا معه فأمر النبي. We said that this narration, that it clearly establishes what is allowed and what is permissible in regards to the amount of wives that one could have. As you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, as you see the time is moving, everyone, you see how Allah is making this matter become clearer. How women are becoming a greater number and the men are becoming less. And how it's affecting the society. Even the sexual preferences are making this affair worse. Even the sexual orientations of people are making this affair worse. Where women now are becoming greatly outnumbered. And how the affair of what? Men are reducing dramatically. And you see the affair of why Allah revealed this matter is becoming clearer and clearer each day. You see it. Manifesting is becoming clearer, and it's becoming clearer, and it's becoming clearer. And Allah knows better in 20 or 30 years, the women probably be 20 to 30 to 1, the way it's going. For those matters, everyone, in which we find that these type of ishkalat that happens in society, that you'll find that Islam has a solution. From that is with this hadith that we just finalized, this explanation, as we said. What did it say? That the Prophet ﷺ commanded and keep what, everyone? 4. That he leave al-bawaqi or talaqa al-bawaqi, as it says. So just to summarize quickly, before we move on to the next narration that we want to explain today, as we look forward to explaining it today. But just to sum it up, give everyone al-khulasa, to summarize the matter. It says, Masjid Ibn Baaz. As we know, the Sahabi Ghaylan ibn Salama al-Thaqafi, you'll find that we mentioned he was from Furs, he was from Persia. So also to let one know that Islam was a religion of diversity as far as the nationality, culture, and background, that it accepted all people, and that this great Sahabi was Persian. He was from Furs. So in those matters, in their practices, as we mentioned, how many was allowed? A great number of women. One could marry up to the point where he had how many? 10. He had 10 women up under his responsibility, under his supervision, as we mentioned. You'll find the great Imam, Sheikh Salih Fawzani, mentioned this. He said, actually exploitation and perversions and affairs of oppression of women was in these matters. Look how the kuffar tried to reverse it, to think that Islam oppresses. In the affairs of Jahiliyyah, women were oppressed to the point, like we said, man can have as many as he wants. That was considered oppression in regards to marriage. How much more for a woman that's not even married at all? And to think in their mind they're really doing something, what? Beautiful. That's how the affairs have become so disgusting. That the affairs of how marriage, that a man can marry as many as he wants, and that he also used to take from her haqq, that her rights was not considered at all in anything. Wealth, position, you're just a woman, go sit down somewhere. You understand? That's how they were treated. From that, you'll find from the different practices that oppress women is this type of practice in Jahiliyyah. He says, وَبِذَلِكَ هَذَا الْعَمَلُ أَنَّ الْوَاحِدَ يَتَزَوَّجُ عَدَدًا كَبِيرًا مِنَ النِّسَاءِ فالله جل وعلا قصد التعدد على أربع فقال فانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى وثلاث ورباع فإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا فواحدة. It says, for that reason you'll find from the oppressive practices is that a man can marry a great number of women. And that Allah restricted that ta'addud, that plurality, upon what? Upon how many? Upon 4. He restricted it. Based upon the ayah which comes to Surah An-Nisa. Now this is one point I wanted to add to everyone from what we extracted last week. That the Muslim that's hur, that the one who has his freedom, of course, can have 4. That's what's allowed. The one who's a slave can only have how many? Can have 2. It's half. Can have his thintain. Why? Because al-abd is nisf al-hur min al-muslimin. It's half. However, فلما أسلم غيلان الثقفي وتحته 10 خيره النبي صلوات الله وسلامه عليه فقال له اختر منهن 4 وفارق البواقي. As we mentioned, it said that he had 10. The Messenger of Allah gave him the choice. He said, choose from amongst them 4 and abandon the rest, or leave the rest. We mentioned last class a great point that I wanted to mention and remind us, which is what we want, that the marriages before Islam are what we want. They are considered and acceptable. Is it clear? They do not, for example, I gave an example, we gave examples. For example, a man and a woman were married upon Christianity or Judaism, or even in a paganistic marriage, such as what happened with the Sahabi here. You'll find that the Messenger of Allah والسلام, when he told him to leave the impermissible number to have or to leave it, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ did not say to him, what? You have to remarry over again. He did not say that. However, he just corrected of what was what? Mamnu', what was prohibited in Islam. But at the same time, what was taken considered as what? The marriage that he had before he was Muslim. But notice in the hadith, they all became Muslim along with him. If those women were upon a deen wathani, if they were upon some type of paganistic way or practice, it would not be permissible for him to what? Still be married to them at all. That's another thing that we wanted to what? Mention. Also, these details also will these details will also apply to this next narration that we'll cover today. Is it clear? So, keep in mind and I'll say it again, if two couples here in America, they were married by a Christian contract, or if they both were Jews, they married before they were Muslim. Then they both became what? Muslim. Based upon that, do they now have to renew their marriage contract in Islam? Based upon the narrations we mentioned? No. No, they do not. Why? Because the contracts before Islam are what do we want? Al-uqud al-nikah qabl Islam mu'tabara. Is it clear, everyone? Wadih? So if they both came into Islam and they were married before Islam, they do not have to renew their what? Contract. Is it clear? Good. So that was from the benefits we extracted last class. Is it clear, everyone? That was from some of them. Like we said, الآن نعطيكم ماذا الخلاصة خلاصة التفاصيل التي تقدم ذكرها في الدرس الماضي. We just give you now the khulasa, to summarize, with some of the benefits that we were extracted from the previous class. Is it clear, everyone? So that was from the affairs. But just to give everyone some more details, because these matters could happen, and you'll know the answer, inshallah. However, if that woman was upon a deen wathani, let's just say the woman was upon a paganistic religion, is it permissible now to keep her? Okay, let's just say she was kitabiyya. Now let's just say she was Christian. Now that is a hard. What if she was Christian? What if she was Nasraniyya? No. Why do you say that?
Because I believe.
But it's permissible to stay married, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, you can marry a Christian woman.
But if you're getting married for her to become Muslim, like if she's married, she's married, and then eventually.
Keep in mind, generally the hukum is you can be married to a what?
A chance woman?
A chas who? A woman from the people's book. Kitabiyya. Generally. What do you say, Zayd? Something is in your mind. I want to know. I want to extract from you.
If she met the conditions of the kitabiyya.
Ahsant. Good.
Because if she's not chaste.
Ahsant. Good. Ahsantu. Good. If she fulfills the criteria of what? A proper Christian woman, which in these days, the great Imam al-Badi said it is not what? It's not even there. It's not even present. But generally, let's just say the time did come where there were actually chaste, practicing Christian women. Not the tight wearing, clothed but naked women that have had 10 to 50, up to 100 sexual different partners. No. They're totally disqualified. We're talking about one day that something might happen where the Christian women are actually practicing chaste Christian women. If that did happen, then it would be permissible for him to what? Keep her. But you'll find that the great Imam al-Albani even mentioned that, and he has given some great details about how the Christian women of today are not what? They're not suitable for being married to a Muslim man of today. But there might come a time where the what? It might go back to that affair where the women were chaste women, they were covered, and we know that there was sex out there where the women used to dress appropriate, dress very chaste, and they used to cover similar to the Muslim women. And they were virgin women, and they considered, and they believed firmly in their conviction that intimacy before marriage is very what? Is unlawful, and is very forbidden. Based upon their i'tiqad of their belief of maintaining their chastity, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made as a condition for the man to be married to a Christian woman or a woman from the people of the book, which the great Imam al-Bani said, it's not in these days and times. How many from the Christian women used to ask them intimacy before the marriage? They'd be like, what's wrong with that? That's the norm. That's what everybody does. You'll find that the majority of them believe that sex before marriage is nothing wrong with it. Rather, that's what we all do. It's nothing wrong with that. And the other details he presented wasn't just that. The shart al-ihsan, what they call ihsan, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن محصنين غير مسافحين ولا متخذي أخدان فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ حَبِطَ عَمَلُهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Till the end of the ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the condition of what? شرط ماذا? Al-Ihsan. You'll find the great Imam al-Bani, he mentioned these details in a very good clip. It's 2 parts, if you can find it, about is it permissible to marry the woman of the book these days? He brings a lot of good details. He says, if you're living, for example, another detail that he presented, he said, if you're living in the West, he said, you're living in a land that if you was to now have children, that the environment of the children, of course, that how many from the kuffar would now help you or aid you to maintain the children being upon the what? The religion of Islam. Rather, they have the choice and the freedom to choose kufr, and there's nothing you can do about it. He said, based upon that, you'll find that those companions that were married to a Christian woman, which were few, he said, due to the fact of that the land that they were in, the dominant factor of the land was what? It was Islam. So the children would be, if he had children by her, ultimately the children, the heavy influence upon them would be what? Islam. He said, you get married in the West, the heavy influence upon the children are what? Kufr. Which will push them to be more towards what? Kufr. He said, that is the reason why, what everyone, that these were from the details of how some of those Sahaba were married to them, and how, like we said, ultimately the children followed behind the leadership of the father and the influence of the land, which was what? Islam. That was from some of the other details he presented to let one know that the women from the people of the book of these days are not considered what? Befitting to marry. So, but generally, in regards to this particular hukum, if, let's just say, it went back to those days where the women from the Jewish women or the Christian women were truly practicing their religion, and it went back to that affair, if he became Muslim, and she was upon Christianity, then what, everyone? It would be permissible for him to what? Exactly. That's all we wanted to mention. Is it clear? But we said due to the fact of the other affair that we mentioned, of saying the matter pertaining to whether or not they're befitting for today or they're suitable for today, then that totally disqualifies them. Is it clear? Good. So, let's move on to the next hadith. Now this is the one that's very enjoyable. So let's start. The next narration, everyone. Upon Abdullah ibn Abbas قال رد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ابنته زينب على أبي العاص. You have your book? Read. This is not something you can sit and listen to. I forgot to mention the illah, the hadith also. I wanted to mention that. But I'll mention it as soon as we finish reading the narration. We'll go back to the answers with the hidden weaknesses in the chain. I forgot to mention that too, that matter. Really? That's not an excuse. Can you help? Can you show where the hadith is, please? أنت لست معذورا. طيب. الزواج والنكاح ليس بعذر. المهم عن عبد الله بن عباس قال رد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ابنته زينب على أبي العاص ابن الربيع بعد 6 سنين بالنكاح الأول ولم يحدث نكاحا. رواه أحمد والأربعة إلا النسائي وصححه أحمد في المسند طبعا والحاكم أبو عبد الله الحاكم في المستدرك على الصحيحين. طيب, first narration, everyone. عن عبد الله بن عباس قال, the message of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, that he returned his daughter Zaynab to Abu al-As ibn al-Rabi' after 6 years. That the message of Allah عليه الصلاة والسلام رد بنته زينب على أبي العاص الربيع بعد 6 سنين بالنكاح الأول. That he returned his daughter Zaynab, the Sahabiya, the daughter of the Messenger of Allah عليه الصلاة والسلام, to Abu al-As ibn al-Rabi' after 6 years. By the first marriage. What does that mean now? By the first marriage contract, when they weren't Muslim. After 6 years, That's the problem, right? طيب هذا هو موضوع الإشكال. بعد 6 سنين ولم يحدث نكاحا. In the message of Allah, the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam did not make a new marriage contract. ولم يحدث نكاحا. رواه أحمد والأربعة إلا النسائي وصححه الإمام أحمد في المسند والحاكم أبو عبد الله الحاكم في المستدرك عن الصحيحين. طيب الحديث الذي يليه حديث 965 عن عبد الشعيب عن أبيه عن جده, the great famous isnad, the great chain. عن عبد الشعيب عن أبيه عن جده أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رد بنته زينب على أبي العاص بنكاح جديد. قال الترمذي حديث ابن عباس أجود إسنادا والعمل على حديث عمرو بن شعيب ممتاز. ولكن قال الحديث الأول أجود إسنادا وأثبت. So, do we have the next narration, everyone? That the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, that he returned his daughter Zainab to Abu al-As with a new marriage contract. Tirmidhi said, the great Imam Abu Isa, Muhammad ibn Isa Tirmidhi, the great Imam. Where was he originally from? Where's Tirmidhi? Currently, everyone, in Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan. How Pakistan? Uzbekistan. That's where Tirmidhi is right now. Tirmidhi محله الآن في أوزبكستان. جيد؟ طيب قال الترمذي أبو عيسى محمد بن عيسى الترمذي حديث ابن عباس أجود إسنادا والعمل على حديث عمرو بن شعيب. Now that sounds confusing. For a person that listens to that, they say that's very confusing. This narration says the Messenger of Allah married her or renewed the contract, basically. The first hadith said clearly what? The Messenger of Allah didn't. Is it clear? Tirmidhi said hadith Abdullah ibn Abbas is better in its chain, where the Messenger of Allah did not renew the contract. But what is applied is the hadith Amr al-Shuri. That sounds like there's some form of what? Tanaqub. Some type of contradiction here. هل هناك تناقض؟ أم ليس هناك تناقض؟ سنبين إن شاء الله. طيب, before we now نعرج على الشرح وتفاصيل هذه الرواية التي نحن بصدد شرحها, نعطيكم الخلاصة ثم بعد ذلك نعطيكم التفاصيل. You can now affirm, put in your mind the asas, so the foundation of the masala, the foundation of the affair. Then after that, we'll go inside whatever you want, the details, to give you the detailed version. Good? So I'll just read it quickly. Alright, the story of Zainab, the Prophet ﷺ's daughter, Zawjuha, who's who? Abu al-As ibn Rabi'. Is it clear, everyone? Good. The affair يدور حول ماذا؟ مسألة ما إذا أسلمت المرأة وهي تحت رجل كافر. فإن أبا العاص بن الربيع كان كافرا وقد تزوج من زينب بنت الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أكبر بنات الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. So the affair revolves around what? That if a woman becomes Muslim and she's under a disbelieving man, or she's married, not a boyfriend, married. She's married to a kafir, a non-Muslim disbeliever. Abu al-As, if you look in the hadith, everyone, Abu al-As bin Rabi', he was a kafir at one time. And he married Zainab. When, everyone? Before Islam. Or when the Messenger of Allah was what? Became sent as a prophet or a messenger. Came sent as the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. So, Zainab and Rabi' were married before the command, of course, of Islam. When the message of Allah, of course, was sent, she became Muslim along with her father. And she did not remain in the supervision of Al-As bin Rabi'. Why? Because Zainab radiallahu anha made hijrah with her father, alayhi salatu wasalam. To where? To Medina. Abu al-As bin Rabi' remained in Mecca as a kafir. Is it clear so far what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear so far? Good. Then he became ثم أسر في غزوة بدر. Abu al-As bin Rabi' حتى صار من الأسرى. He became from the what? Captives. Zainab ransomed him. And you'll find that he was freed from captivity. But however, Rabi' still did not, Abu al-As still didn't become what? Muslim yet. He said he went back to Mecca. Keep in mind the time frame, everyone. That time frame was about how many? 6 years. 6 years. Zainab, of course, still had love for him, natural love. And he wanted to help him. Maybe that could be a reason for him what? Embracing Islam. So he was freed from captivity, but he went back to Mecca. You'll find that he returned all the wada'i', all the things of belongings, of course, which was in his possession, all the different things that he had, he returned it back to the family in Mecca, gave it to them, and gave it all away. Why? Because he decided to become what? Muslim. Then he returned back to what? Al-Medina. Then he announces what? His Islam. After how many? 6 years. Since the Islam of Zainab, the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam returned her back to him without a marriage contract after 6 years. That's a long time. طيب. What does Ahl Ilm say in regards to this matter, everyone? What do they say? This is something that's mushkil, محل الإشكال جدا. طيب المتقرر عند العلماء أن الزوجين الكافرين إن أسلما معا فالنكاح باقي. We already discussed this. انتهينا من هذا الشرح في الدرس الماضي، في الدرس الذي سبق ذكره الأسبوع الماضي. Right, everyone? طيب, what has been established with the ulama is that if two couples that are married, not boyfriend and girlfriend, I have to say this point online all the time. If they were married before Islam, we've already established if they both become Muslim, then what? What did we say? The marriage is what? It's back in. This marriage is remaining. That's not the problem. That's clear. If they both become, of course, Muslim in one moment or at the same time. As for, and I want everyone to understand this point, if one of them become Muslim and the other didn't become Muslim yet, then they are what? Separated between them. Unless, and I want everyone to listen to this carefully, if, of course, they were intimate or what have you, he was alone with her, and intimacy had taken place, then she has to have a iddah. There has to be a time period, waiting period. Within that time frame, if he becomes Muslim, then the marriage is what? The marriage, does it have to now start a new marriage contract or not? Within the iddah. Do they have to renew the marriage contract? No, he does not. إذا أسلم زوجها في أثناء العدة فهل يلزم تجديد عقد النكاح أم لا؟ إن أسلم وهي في العدة هل يلزم لذلك تجديد عقد النكاح؟ لا يلزم. أحسنت. لا يلزم. Good. He said, if he becomes Muslim while she's in iddah, do you have to now renew the marriage contract or not? No. That's the affair that you'll find that Tirmidhi is saying here. The problem is, everyone, the problem is that the iddah of Zaynab was what? Over. انتهت عدة زينب. كيف رد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بنته إليه بعد انتهاء العدة؟ أما قبل العدة فالأمر واضح. زال موضع الإشكال ومحل الإشكال. في أثناء العدة الأمر واضح. ولكن بعد انتهاء العدة هذا موضع الإشكال. You get it? The problem is if he becomes Muslim while she's in the iddah. See how Islam, how clear it is? This gives you all the instructions of guidelines of everything. Like, the problem, so the issue in the affair revolves around, as far as the affair of, while she's in iddah, that affair is clear. If he becomes Muslim, that's her husband, of course, before they were Muslim. She becomes Muslim, but he remained upon her. If he now becomes Muslim while she's doing her iddah, a person might ask, well, why is she doing the iddah? Why? Because they might have just what? Been intimate. Then maybe tomorrow somebody gave her dawah, she became Muslim. And we know that Islam is a religion of decorum where it's not nasty like the people of disbelief, where a woman can have different types of sperms within inside of her. That's disgusting. You understand, everyone? So based upon that, when a woman now is intimate, if a man has released his sperm in her, we know that the matter of the body has to release it, remove it before she has to what? Before she moves on to another man. Because that is what the body will tolerate for a woman's body chemistry. It does not accept multiple man's sperms within her physical body. It will harm her. Is it clear? That's to let you know how Islam, how purified of a religion it is, and how disgusting the people of Kufr are. Is it clear, everyone? So now the affair of what? The iddah will allow, number one, to see if she's pregnant. Because also another man's sperm cannot be in a woman's body with another man's what? Baby. Which also is considered from his what? From another man. That's remaining in her and growing. So that's the reason why there has to be a what? A iddah. Is it clear? That's the hikmah behind the iddah. That's min hikmah al-iddah huwa hada. Istibra' al-rahim. To make sure that the womb of the woman is what? Is free, is clear. Is it clear, everyone? But due to the fact, that's if she wanted to what? Marry another man. But here, it's the same man with the same what? The same, of course, same sperm, and it's what? The baby. So that's the affair. So that problem that we just talked about is removed here. If now that same man that she, of course, was married to, not boyfriend, married to before Islam, she becomes Muslim. If the iddah, she's still in it, how many menses does she have to wait, everyone? How many?
3 months.
Not 3 months. I hate this word months. I keep hearing this. I've been hearing this in America since I've been given dawah. She has to wait 3 months. It's not 3 months. 3 months. It's clear? Months. Make sure y'all click. Even online. Women, months. Not months. Months. Is it clear? She will have to wait 3 menstrual cycles. Is it clear, everyone? The only time you go 3 months is if she had a hysterectomy or she's a little girl that did not get an iddah yet, but that's for another time. Not the pornoristic, filthy, perverted times we live in now. We're not talking about. We're talking about times where the people are not been affected by porn and all the other filth. But we're talking about in those times where women were young and they were mature, they didn't get a period yet, then you would count the months. That's the only time that months are counted. She was a little girl, of course, a young girl that didn't get her mens yet, or she reached the sin of yet, an elderly woman where she doesn't get a mens at all, because she's elderly. Or she had a what they call istikhraj al-rahim, where her actual insides or reproductive organs was removed from what they call a hysterectomy. That will now prohibit a woman from not having a what? A period at all. If that's the case, then it's now what? 3 how many months? Is it clear? That's it. If it's not the case, for those 3 cases we said, even if her blood or her mens, even if she only had it twice a year, she has to wait. Even if it's irregular. Do you hear me? Well, my mens is irregular. So what? You have to wait. Is it clear or not clear? Good. Yes. Is it clear so far what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. The message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith. Let's wait till the thing goes by. طيب. The message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What Tirmidhi, if you look at your books, everyone, he said, وَالْعَمَلْ عَلَى حَدِيثِ عَمْرُ بِالشُّعَيْبِ. He's saying now here, you'll find it as if Tirmidhi is taking the safe position. And a lot of the ulama are taking the safe route here. What do we mean by taking the safe route? As we said, if the same husband had now taken her back within the iddah, that's not the problem. We know that's clear. He can resume the marriage contract. I'll become Muslim. She's still doing her iddah. She hasn't done her 3rd mens yet. Okay, now we can what? Resume our relationship. It's over. I mean, it's done as far as the problem. Is it clear? Yeah. Not as far as the marriage, as far as the problem. Is it clear, everyone? Good. The problem here is that that Tirmidhi said that the hadith of the first narration is more authentic. That the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned his daughter back after 6 years. So that now everyone would necessitate that the iddah of Zaynab radiallahu anha was over. And he still, alayhi salatu wasalam, returned her back there. That's the problem. Hello, موضوع الشعب. بعد انتهاء العدة ب6 سنين. You understand, everyone? الآن واضح، الآن اتضح موضوع الشعب. اتضح. بعد انتهاء العدة ب6 سنين رد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم يحدث نكاحا حيث لم يجدد عقد نكاح جديد. الآن فهمت موضوع الإشكال؟ تفضلت له؟ طيب. So now that's what we wanted to give in regards to what everyone, the khulasa. We just gave you the summarized version. I didn't give you the detailed one yet. So let's go over the whole thing now. Let's go over it together before we get into the details. A person might say that seemed like that was the details. No, that's not. هذا ليس هو أمر المفصل ومسألة مفصلة. هذا هي الخلاصة. طيب. That's the summary. So what did we just go over? So now man is married to a woman before Islam. So she now becomes Muslim. She becomes Muslim. So now what happens when she becomes Muslim, everybody? What happens? The iddah starts. If they were what? If they were intimate. Right? Or if they were alone together. Is it clear? I think that's clear. Is it clear or is it not clear? Fine. So she now becomes Muslim, her iddah starts. Now, her husband is thinking about Islam. Before Islam. He now becomes Muslim a month later. Or 2 months later, or after she had 2 menses. Her 3rd mens didn't come on yet. He decides to become Muslim. They can now what? Resume their what? Marriage. It's over. Is it clear? That's basically just to sum it up. طيب, we know the hadith, the ayah, which comes from Surah Al-Mumtahina, ayah 10. So that also establishes, because a person, I say, okay, what's the dalil? What's the evidence for that a woman now, she becomes Muslim, that the iddah starts, and she cannot remain with what? With her husband that remained upon kufr. We know that the woman cannot be married to a what? Christian man. Nor can a Muslim woman be married to a what? A Jewish man either. She can only be married to who? A Muslim man. And a woman can only have what? One husband. Right, everyone?
Yes.
That's the reason why, like I said, everyone, I'll talk about this later. But anyway, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that in His book. فَلَا تَرْجِعُوهُنَّ إِلَى الْكُفَّارِ لَا هُنَّ حِلُّ لَهُمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحِلُّونَ لَهُنَّ. So it says in the ayah, that's the dalil, that once a woman becomes Muslim, she cannot remain under the supervision or the marriage of a what? Non-Muslim man. Whether he be Christian or whether he be what? Jewish. And if he's upon deen wathani, hadha min bab al-awla. And if he's upon a paganistic religion, that's for all the more reason. Is it clear, everyone? Due to the ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Surah Al-Mumtahina, ayah number what? 10. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Do not return those believing women to who? To the disbelievers. They are not permissible for them, and they are not, meaning those disbelieving men are not permissible for what? The believing women. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِعِصَمِ مَاذَا? الْكَوَافِرُ. Do not hold them, meaning those believing women, of course, with the protection of the what? Disbelieving men. Is it clear, everyone? طيب. That's to let one know that the Muslim female cannot be with the disbelieving men. Meaning, whether they be Christian, Jewish, or what? Buddhist, and all those other adiyan wathaniya. And those paganistic religions. Is it clear? Good. I'm going step by step because it's going to get greater. Good. So, we said based upon that, the affair is clear. If she's in the iddah, if the iddah is over based upon what Tirmidhi is saying, that the second narration is what we apply. Then if the iddah is over, she cannot go back to the husband unless it's by what? New marriage contract. That's what Tirmidhi is saying. That is the ra'i in the opinion of the jamhur of the scholars, the majority of the scholars. So they take the route of what's considered what, everyone? That's more safe. That's what they say. Why? Because the affair is considered matters that's pertaining to what, everyone? Building families and affairs that are very sacred, which is pertaining to what? Intimacy in private parts. Which those affairs are very what? Sacred. So they take the what? Safe, and the affairs that's pertaining to what? Lineages and families. Without any khat al-ansab. Without the affairs of what? Family members, or mixing up the lineages. And maintaining the marriage, lineages, and the relationships. These are the most what? Sacred of affairs. And for that reason they say, if the iddah is over and he becomes Muslim, renew the marriage contract. Is it clear? Fine. So, a person might say, well, now a person might come and say, okay, but the hadith that is more stronger in the chain is what? The first one. ما هو أقوى إسنادا؟ الأول. That's the problem. Now you see why I said your brain will mess up your brain today? Yes. So a person might say, well, what are you going to do about the hadith of the Prophet? So the message of Allah did not renew the marriage contract. What is your answer? Hadith قصة زينب هذا تشكل لأن بين إسلامهما وإسلام زوجها 6 سنين. So that clearly shows that what, everyone? That the iddah of Zainab was over due to the amount of time frame that had what? Elapsed. And despite of that, the Messenger of Allah returned Ibn Aus back to her without any aqd. And that is the strongest isnad, as the ulama mentioned. فهذا يختلف عن قاعدة التي قررها أهل العلم. ما الجواب؟ قال بعضهم. So now they need the answer.
So how we answer this hadith, Jumhur? How do we answer this narration? They say, maybe perhaps Zainab بقيت في العدة تأخر عنها الحيض. يمكن أن يرتفع الحيض عن المرأة مدة طويلة فتبقى في عدة إلى أن يعود الحيض وتعتد به، فربما أن زينب ارتفع حيضها في هذه المدة فبقيت في العدة وأسلم زوجها وهي في العدة. هذا احتمال، وإذا دخل الاحتمال بطل الاستدلال. جيد. So you'll find that they say from the jawab or the ajriba, قال بعضهم, they say, okay, well, so now you'll find that those who say, okay, Jumhur, the narration of the isnad is more what? Stronger. He said, maybe perhaps, so what's your answer to what the message of Allah did? They say, maybe Zainab remained in iddah where her mens was late. Maybe that her mens had stopped for a long period of time. So she remained in what? In that manner. Until her haid or until her mens or menstrual cycle normalized or came back. And then when it came back, she finished the iddah 6 years later. So they say maybe perhaps that her menstrual cycle was what? It stopped for a period of time. So she remained in that iddah, or in that form or in that state. Then her husband became what? Muslim, while she was still in what? Iddah. That's called ihtimal. That's a probability. We know there's a qa'idah, everyone, in fiqh. It's not muttarida, it's in certain circumstances. They say, إذا دخل الاحتمال بطل الاستدلال. He said, if there's a probability, you can't use it as an evidence. Due to the fact that, what, everyone? There's no hadith to support that affair. That she what? Still was in iddah after that time frame. We don't have no dalil for it. What's the dalil? You're just giving an answer where it's not substantiated with any what? Without any proof. It's just a mere what? Ihtimal. ولكن أين الدليل على أن الحيض قد تأخر؟ ما يوجد. Is it clear? ما الدليل؟ ما هناك دليل. So that's just a مجرد ماذا؟ احتمال. فلا يمكن الاعتماد عليه بأي حال من الأحوال. Is it clear so far, everyone? طيب. Keep in mind, this is always the summarized version. At any rate, the second statement, now it's going to get more better. Now, أنا صار يعني أكثر نفعا وأنفع. What is the position of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah Ibn al-Qayyim? Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah rahimahullah and al-Alama Ibn al-Qayyim, he says in his tremendous book entitled Zad al-Mu'ad في هدي خير العباد أنه إذا أسلم الزوج الآخر في العدة يعودان إلى النكاح كما قرر العلماء. الأمر واضح. أما إذا انتهت العدة ولم يسلم الزوج الكافر الذي بقي على الكفر، قال العلامة ابن القيم في زاد المعاد: النكاح لا يبطل بانتهاء العدة، ولكن يكون لها الخيار. ممتاز. يكون لها الخيار، إن شاءت تزوجت وإن شاءت انتظرت إلى أن يأتي زوجها فترجع إليه كما حصل من زينب، فإنها انتظرت ولم تتزوج فأرجعها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إليه. فابن القيم يخالف الجمهور في أن النكاح لا ينتهي بنهاية العدة ولكن يبقى الخيار للزوجة إن أسلم زوجها رجعت إليه وإن أرادت أن تتزوج فلها ذلك ولا تنتظر. هذا هو الذي حصل من زينب وهذا القول قريب جدا من مفهوم الحديث وبه يزول الإشكال ولكن الجمهور على خلاف هذا. And there's books in this, there's kutub. And about just little minor masail in which you'll find that the ulama go against the jumhur. Just little minor masail. There's books in that too. But anyway, so the second affair, what the Shaykh al-Islam al-Allama Ibn Qayyim said about this? They say if the other husband, that he becomes Muslim in the iddah, while she's in iddah, we already know what the affair is. What is it? They could go back, what? Khalas, it's over. That's just as the ulama mentioned. The problem is, like we mentioned, if the iddah is over, and now the disbelieving husband now becomes Muslim after the iddah. Ibn al-Qayyim says this. Listen to this carefully. The nikah does not become invalid by the end of the iddah. However, she has the choice. Everyone, go back to the beginning of the chapter. What's the chapter that we're in right now? What is it called? It's called Bab al-Kafa'a wal-Khiyar. The chapter of what, everyone? Sufficiency or adequacy and what? Choice. That's the chapter that we're in right now. That also shows that women in Islam has a what? Choice. In certain affairs, they have a choice. Yes, they do. You hear it clearly with your own ears. It's not from me, because I know there will be people out there saying, I'm bizarre, you always try to help the women, to the end of the nonsense I've heard. Here you see it in this narration clear that what she has, Al-Allama Ibn al-Qayyim says she has the what? Choice. يبقى لها الخيار. You understand? للزوجة يبقى الخيار للزوجة إن أسلم زوجها رجعت إليه. Now listen, he says that the choice remains for the wife. If her previous husband becomes Muslim, she could go back to him. And if she wanted to get married or remarried, she could get remarried to someone else. After the iddah is what? Over. Which is how many menses everyone? Mens? 3 menstrual cycles. Is it clear? Even if they're irregular. Even if she gets a mens every other 4 months and it's irregular, it does not matter. The affair still revolves around what, everyone? The mens. Is it clear? Good. So it's saying here that she has the what? The choice. She can either go back to her previous husband, or she has the what? Or she could get remarried again and not wait. The thing is that she cannot, that Ibn al-Qayyim, you'll find if we, I was going to give you the detailed version. I'm giving it to you now a little bit. She cannot get married again and then now think I could go back to what? Her previous husband.
Unless she was divorced, right?
Unless
she was divorced.
Unless she was divorced, that's something different. If she's divorced, that's something different. Good. Same. Sahih. She could go back to him. Let's just say, you guys are now throwing me off a bit. Let's just say, if she got remarried to another man, she didn't wait for her husband to become Muslim or not. I'm going to move on in my life because I want to marry a Muslim man or I haven't. In that case, it's over. She cannot say, because a person would say, why am I saying this? Read the next hadith. Just read it quick. Because that's the reason why I mentioned it to you. اقرأ الحديث الذي يليه. Read the next hadith. Let's read it together. Upon Abdullah ibn Abbas, أسلمت امرأة فتزوجت فجاء زوجها فقال يا رسول الله إني كنت أسلمت وعلمت إسلامي فانتزعها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من زوجها الآخر وردها إلى زوجها الأول. That's the reason why I'm saying that. Because of that hadith in your books right now. Is it clear, everyone? So it says, O Messenger of Allah, indeed I have become Muslim. She knew about my Islam. Put a circle around that. The Messenger of Allah removed her. The marriage, meaning he nullified the marriage. From her what? From the latter husband. From the husband she was with then, or now, or that time. And she returned her back to her what? Previous husband. Now you get it? Now you see why I mentioned what I mentioned. So based upon this hadith, this is also something we will talk about maybe next class. If we don't got the time now for now. How much time we could talk about? Good. So, based upon that, brothers and sisters, now let's go back to the previous hadith. Because that one, the next one, they're all connected in a certain way. So based upon that, Al-Allama Ibn al-Qayyim, if you want to just sum it up, it all revolves around, if you want to write your books, after the iddah. As before the iddah, the affair is clear. They all agree that what? The husband can resume the marriage with his what? With his wife, if he becomes Muslim. Is it clear? The problem, the mawdi'ul ishkal, is ba'd al-iddah. It's after the iddah. That's the problem. That's the issue. Ibn al-Qayyim says she has the what? Choice. يَبْقَى لَهَا الْخِيَارِ. She can either what? Go back to him, if he becomes Muslim, and resume her marriage without any what? New marriage contract. That's the mawqif, and that is the position of Al-Allama Ibn al-Qayyim. So I'll just read it quickly. He said, so it now remains for her to what? The choice. And we said that the chapter that we're in now is called the chapter what? Adequacy and what, everyone? Khiyar. Because now you'll find, it's as if Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, it's as if he's what? Taking his position. Because he put that hadith under the chapter that's pertaining to what? Choice. You get it? Good. So it says, هذا الذي. Now the great Imam, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Hafidhullah, it says, almost as he's saying, that code is very, very close. قريب جدا from what's understood from the hadith. It's as if he's still like, You understand? He said, وَفَنَّا يَزُولُ بِهِ الْإِشْكَالِ. He said, based upon that, based upon what Ibn al-Qayyim is mentioning, he said, the problem is removed. And that this affair opposes the what? The Jumhur. A person might say, is this all the time in a lot of masail and fiqh? Not really. It's just certain matters you'll find, and the matters where you'll find that certain ulama that have good strong knowledge in affairs go against the opinion of Jumhur, but that's in certain matters. It's not allowed. You understand, everyone? And this is just from the example of it. So no one can say, oh man, is this all the time? No, it's not. It's just little affairs of fiqh. It's not issues that cause some type of balbala or a type of affair that will confuse you in your mind. Is it clear, everyone? And this is from the example of it, right here. طيب. For that reason, we conclude by saying, ولهذا يقول الترمذي إن حديث عبد الله بن عباس أصح وهو ردها بدون عقد جديد فحديث عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده عليه العمل عند أهل العلم وهو أنه إذا انتهت العدة فلا ترد إليه إلا بعقد جديد. So just to sum it up, the Jumhur, it says almost as if they're taking a what? Safe route. But the issue is, how are you taking a safe route? The Messenger of Allah ﷺ did something different. You can't use that. Due to the fact that the Messenger of Allah what? Did something clearly, and the chain of the narrations was way more what? Authentic. So how do we prove this? So that's what the affair is. So he said, وَعَلَيْهِ الْعَمَلْ عِنْدَ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ. Now listen to Sheikh Salih Fawzan. فَالْمَسَلَ فِيهَا إِشْكَالَ وَلَا شَكٍّ. So that is the affair. When I spoke to Sheikh Arafat, he said the affair, of course, that he even take the position of what Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Qayyim. He said that is the affair, even though the amal with Ahl Ilm, but we said that the Messenger of Allah did not renew it, that's what we stick to. You understand, everyone? That's the affair that we cling to. So he even took that position, Hafidhullah. Good. That was the summarized version. There's a more detailed version that applies to the details that I gave you when I opened the class up. And that's pertaining to if now a woman becomes a kitabiyah, if she now becomes a Christian, and we reverse it, and we'll talk about this later, because it's going to be a little just slightly confusing. Let's just say now this affair happened. Man becomes Muslim. She's still Christian. What do we do? Then, maybe after, let's just say, she's, but what they do the iddah. I don't think there's any Christian woman these days that do iddah. But at any rate, I don't think there's any Christian woman that does iddah these days. But at any rate, back in the times of old, they used to do iddah, but now they don't do no iddah. Could now he remarry if what would be the steps if she became Muslim? She moved on and had another relationship. You understand? Fine. The man comes and said, are you going to become Muslim? Well, I still love you. I would like to go back to you. Based upon that fact, what will happen? Was she intimate with another man? She said, yes. That's a problem. Fine. What will we say here?
It's canceled out, right?
Here, she will have to do an iddah. Matter of fact, this goes back to another message. I don't want to get too far off because I wanted to stay on this point. But I'll just do this point and then we'll go back to the story. Woman right now, or just became Muslim. And this is also connected with new shahada. A woman is a new shahada. A woman now becomes Muslim. Let's just say she was intimate with a man. And a person would say, but this is the reality and this is the type of land we live in. This is the land we live in. The lands we live in, people do a whole bunch of what? Fornication. That's just the land we live in. It's the norm. It's widespread. People do it. Fight. What will we do?
Tawbah.
No. Her tawbah is her what? Her Islam.
We're talking about her having relations with someone not in marriage.
Exactly. We're talking about an affair where a woman, an affair that's not marriage right now. Well, I went off the topic because I made to make that clear. I said Zayn. Zayn. Ibn Zayn. Tayyib. So, what do we do? Come on, everybody's focused. If a woman now wasn't married at all, she became Muslim. She just was intimate with a man. She was intimate with a man.
Before she became Muslim?
Before she became Muslim. Or a day before she became Muslim. Or a week before she became Muslim. Or within her mens, after she had her mens. Then after the mens, she became intimate with a bunch of men. You understand? Just listen. After her mens, she was intimate with a man. She comes and she said, or let's just say a group of men, doesn't matter. Whatever. Then let's just say now, she took shahada. Can she get married? No. Why? Why, everyone? There has to be a what? The iddah. Why is the iddah? Because we need to make sure she's not what? Sent. She's not pregnant. And we have to also give her a chance for her womb to be clean from the man's sperm. Is it clear? It has to be clean and removed. Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying? I'm being mature here. I'm not laughing.
Very clear.
Good. So based upon that, she will have to do a mens. She will have to do 3 menstrual cycles. Do 3. Do 3 menstrual cycles. Within that, after the 3 menstrual cycles, she becomes Muslim. She can get what? She can get married. But based upon the fact that she was intimate before she was Muslim, there still has to be a what? There still has to be a new contract, of course. But the point I'm trying to focus on here is talking about what? There has to be an iddah. There has to be an iddah. Due to the fact that she was intimate with another what? Another man. All right. Now let's go back to the affair. Let's just say she was married to a man. They were in a marriage. He becomes Muslim, but she still wants to remain upon her religion. How do we deal with it? Now, let you guys answer. What do we do? Based upon the class.
If she didn't decide to leave, then the contract is Sahih.
If she decides to what?
If she does not decide to leave, she decides to stay with him while he's a Muslim and she is a Christian, and they were married, right?
Keep in mind the details we gave in the beginning of the class. Remember.
Sheikh Albani's opinion is that
Good.
in the West.
That's the reason why I gave the details in the beginning of the class. Because it's now we're connecting the dots. You get it now? So based upon that, number one, if a man becomes Muslim, she now is what? She's still upon Christianity. All right. Man, we know there's no iddah for a man. Right? There's no iddah for a man. Fine. So now, what do we do? All right, that's his wife in Christianity. He became Muslim. Generally, the hukum is he can still what? Stay with her. But we mentioned the details of the great Imam al-Albani about those females and those males. Based upon that, we say that what? That affair is not for today. Is it? Or isn't it?
But if the man is married to the woman and he can affirm that she was in fact not or sleeping with multiple men, obviously, right? Then you could very well assume that the marriage would be right?
Absolutely.
Like,
No doubt. However, what?
Because we're in the West, if she was to have an issue with the child, would he be able to raise the child as a Muslim?
That's the affair.
generally the man has
Not here.
He's talking about here.
That's a credible point. Right?
But that's what we said about that was the details that the great Imam al-Albani presented. He's saying that the children in the country is the issue. Because now the pull and the influence is what? It's Christianity or kufr in general.
Kufr in general.
You understand? That's the influence here in America or in the West. The heavy influence of what? Disbelief upon the kids. He is saying that the reason why for today of why it's not befitting for these marriages to a non-Muslim woman is for these reasons. There's more reasons he mentioned. There's more reasons. That was just a few. But he's saying that affair is not applicable for today due to the fact that the majority of the Christian women, they do not believe that zina is haram. They say it's halal. There's nothing wrong with that. And they'll come with some false ta'wil, facet, by saying, well, in the Bible, that was only for them. That's not applicable for today. To the other nonsense that they mentioned, which is what? Which is not acceptable. Based upon that type of affair of ihsan, and the affair of the land that we're living in, he said that affair is not applicable for today. Based upon that, we will say, to what? Allow her to take shahada. If not, then it's done. So that's the details for now. And that's it, and I'll stop for today. Because there's more details than that. That's the detailed version that I wanted to get into, but you dragged me into it.
That's beautiful. So marry an Amish, if they were Amish.
Amish is something different.
Probably the only type of Christian.
Probably more than likely. I think the Amish, do they cover fully? Do they cover?
Different ones.
They wear a more modest type of apparel or clothing?
Like a long dress.
A long dress?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's another thing.
But do they believe zina is haram? They believe that too?
No.
Gotcha.
Day before marriage, all that.
Well, if those details are fulfilled, then that's something that be considered. However, like we said, the issue is the influence of the children. That's the issue. The issue of the influence of the children will be more towards what? The practice of the Amish. Those are the details that the great Imam al-Bani brought. He said the influence is supposed to be what? Islam. The only type of affair you can have of the influence of Islam is in Islamic what? Land or country. So if the children are now under the supervision of the religion of Islam in the country, and of course the man, and those affairs is connected with it, all those matters are the dominant factor of what will push the children to be what? Muslims. Now if you're in the West, something totally different. The women could come, a woman now could change her mind, be spiteful and say, you know what? I'm gonna go to the courts. My children are gonna be Christian, nothing you can do about it. I'm gonna go to the courts. I'm going to complain to the non-Muslims, and more than likely they're going to take what? They're going to take her side and say, Yahi, she has the choice. Everybody can have their own choice. You know, that whatever the children choose to do, that's what they choose to do. And there's nothing you can do about it if they say that. You understand?
Yeah.
Nothing you can do here in the West. That's the reason why he said a lot of the Sahaba who did marry a woman for the people of the book, he said that the influence of the religion of Islam was the dominant factor over the children. That's what allowed the affair of what? For it to be allowed. That was one of the reasons, not the only reason. One of the reasons. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Like, any question about the class? You dragged me into the detailed version, but we'll finish the detailed one later, inshallah. الآن بدأت أذهلكم بمعلومات اليوم. والدرس القادم نعطيكم المسألة بتفاصيلها الكاملة. هذه هي الخلاصة التي شرحناها. في العربية؟
أرجوك.
المشكلة والله أنا أفضل الكلمة في العربية. أفضل هذا الشيء. أتطلع إلى أن أعقد الحوارات كلها في العربية. حتى الدروس أنا أتمنى هذا الشيء.
تعلم العربي.
سنتوصل إن شاء الله.
تعلم العربي.
إن شاء الله.
أنا ما عندي إشكال أنا أكلم الناس في العربية. أنا أفضل هذا الشيء. هذا الشيء أنا أتطلع إلى فعله.
Sometimes I lose, you know.
اقرأ معي كتاب.
اقرأ يا ما تشارك معه في الكتاب هذا البي دي اف الآن منزل عندك في الجوال وإيش؟ منزل عندك؟
نعم.
طيب. Any questions about the lesson?
لا أريد أن أشك عليك أو الصعب عليك، لكن ابن القيم قال ابن القيم كان بين زواجهما 18 سنة.
18.
سبحان الله.
There is a narration that says that. Good. Ahsant. So that's what he's saying. He said it was whether or not we affirm that or not, or say that it was less, the point of the matter is that's a long time, 6 or 18. So that is the dalil, and you'll find as if Sheikh Salih Fawzan is saying that is very strong. You understand? So the woman, and it's as if Al-Hafiz bin Hajar chooses that. Because he's saying here that the woman has the what? The choice. And that's the hadith of which the chapter has been what? Revolves around. Keep in mind, even though we're in the chapter of marriage, but the subtitle is what? The affair of adequacy and what? Choice. Keep in mind, that's the subtitle of the chapter. So the affair is all about choice in marriage. And we took the narrations of course, the men that have the choice, and then we took the narrations where the woman has the what? Has the choice. So that's the reason why Al-Hafiz bin Hajar put this hadith specifically under the subtitle, which is pertaining to what? Khiyar, choice. So that's what Allama Ibn Qayyim is saying. He's saying what? She has the choice. If he becomes Muslim and nothing happened in between that time frame, nothing happened, where she wasn't intimate with anyone, no intimacy at all taking place. Nothing. Zero. Something happened where the husband what? Wanted to become Muslim. Then within that time frame, even if it's long, then they can what? Resume their marriage. She had the choice. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Good. Anything else, anyone? That's it, because there's more details. Like I said, Zayn pulled me into the detailed version. But, that's good. There's more, a little bit more details. Anything else you wanted to share, anyone?
No.
تفضل. أحسنت.
Is
ممتاز.
that period for two Muslims if they fornicate out of wedlock? The waiting period for Iddah.
Two Muslims became fell into fornication.
Yeah.
They was married. They wasn't married.
It wasn't.
They wasn't married.
Yeah. Because we spoke on two.
Got you. If there were two couples, they were both Muslim, they fell into fornication before the marriage. They would two things. They would have to make tawbah. The tawbah is, then there's another affair that has to be what? Established. Somebody has to supervise it. And that's the affair that's always the problem. The one to supervise the situation so they can see that both of them have not been doing any funny business. You understand? Now, let's just say they had a baby between them before they were married. They had a baby. This is another matter here in the West. Yes, we have these type of problems here in the West. Yes, we do. So based upon that, there had to be somebody to what? To also monitor and supervise. Okay, if you want to go see the baby and handle responsibility, okay, go ahead, handle your business, but no dilly-dallying, no private talking in the room, and to the end of the nonsense. Don't do that. Wait till the affair becomes what? The affair becomes right. She does her iddah. She do her iddah. Here in this instance, it doesn't have to be 3 months, not necessarily. Due to the fact that that was someone she had intimacy with the same sperm or whatever. However, we still got to make sure she's not pregnant out of wedlock, because that affair is severe. In that instance, you'll find that they do different in that. But however, even when I was listening to the details of it, this is a while ago. They said what is correct is if a child was born, a woman was born out of fornication, even if it's from the man that she wants to so-called marry, she has to wait. Because the baby was born out of what? Out of fornication. So based upon the fact it was born out of fornication, then she would have to what? They would have to what? Wait until she has the baby. Have the baby, and if they both made Tawbah, then they can what? They can marry each other. Now, let's switch it. Let's just say she's not pregnant. Let's say she's not pregnant. All right, so what do? Now you have the same man to monitor. We need someone to monitor the issue, the situation, to see if there isn't any dealings between them. There's no hugging, no kissing, no
Texting, anything like that.
unless, like you said, it's pertaining to the baby. But we're talking about not the baby. The situation, not the baby. There'd be somebody at the monitor the situation that's both of them are being truthful in their Tawbah. So based upon that, wait 1 month, see if they were truly truthful in their Tawbah. Then after that, they both see that they were truthful and veracious in their Tawbah. Based upon that, they can now marry each other. After the iddah, after that particular iddah. It could be 1, it could be 2, and it could be 3. According to the person that's monitoring the situation. According to the person that's monitoring. So each situation would be different. But the point of the matter is, if they fell into fornication, there has to be a form of the iddah, to make sure she's not pregnant. Because if she's pregnant out of wedlock, that affair is great. For that reason, she will have to wait until she has the baby. Then she can they can marry each other. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, I don't want to talk about that. Let's keep it here. I want to talk about khul'a. But anyway, that affair, everyone, is pertaining to that situation. So, if they both separated, the person monitoring seems that they're veracious, meaning they're truthful, and they Tawbah, clearly, they're not doing any type of funny business at all. They've shown that they're sincere in what they wanted to do and fulfill by making the affair correct. In that instance, after the iddah, to make sure she's not pregnant, they can marry each other. They can marry each other.
But the child would still be the child of the bed, even if they were out of
Yes, the child will still be the child of out of fornication. It still would be that.
not attributed to the father.
But at the same time, this is the affair that I want everyone to be attentive of. The matter is pertaining to these matters of children being born out of wedlock. I wanted to check you guys are pulling me in another affair. The matters that's pertaining to kids of Jahiliyyah. And I wanted to talk about this of Umar al-Khattab. About the children of Jahiliyyah. I wanted to bring that up. If I had the time, I'll bring it. Alhamdulillah, dear brother told me this narration. We was discussing this weeks ago. Dear brother, my beloved brother, mine. But anyway, he said that Umar al-Khattab, there was a narration, it's in Musannaf Abdul Razzaq, that Umar al-Khattab still made the kids out of Jahiliyyah ascribe to the fathers. Meaning, he still made them take care of them and act as if they still was his children, where he didn't abandon them. Because that's something that's widespread here in the West. Oh, I was a kid, I was zina before I was Muslim, khalas, get rid of him. Wrong. You'll find that Al-Khattab still made it binding for the man to what? To take care of the child, to make sure he was good, and try to be good to him and kind to him, and kind to his children that he had before he was Muslim. And you can see the benefits of that, because children now that come and they say, my father just disowned me in the name of Islam, and he just said, well, you was a child of the bed anyway, you was nothing. How did that affect the child? They'd be like, Dad, what was my sin? I didn't do it. At the end of the day, you did it. You did it, not me. I gotta suffer. You understand? Doesn't make any sense. So that's why Ibn Khattab, what? He still made that fatwa that child is under the care of the father, even though he was born out of what? Out of wedlock. So that athar is tremendous. I mean, when he said it to me, I kicked it. I'm like, whoa, you gotta send that to me. Because I've been trying to find out of that for years. Because I kept telling people, don't disown your children that you had out of wedlock. Treat them nice, treat them good, be in their life, and spend on them like it's your child. Because psychologically, this is the reason why a lot of these children are messed up out in these streets. Because it said, you know, why my father, he just disowned me. He said he was Muslim, and he just totally dropped the ball. What did I do? It psychologically damages the child. Until it makes them now, what, be prone to what? Corruption in the earth. And this is what happens to a lot of kids these days. And then what do they say? My father just disowned me. Or he just dropped the ball. And then now, not only that, you'll find that the mother takes it on with him. I hate you, I hate your father, now I hate you too, you look just like him. To the end of the nonsense that these children got to deal with. You understand, everyone? To the end of the nonsense they got to deal with, and it psychologically damages these children, and now it makes them prone to what? Be criminals in the earth and corruption within the earth. And you'll find that a lot of them, all they needed was some love and a hug and a kiss, and a man to be in their life to just raise them. And a lot of times with stepfathers that step up, they don't want to do it. Like, it's not my child. Hey, I got to do it. A lot of us have that attitude here. A lot of us do. No matter how much I've said in lectures, I've said this years ago. Brother, step up to help these kids. Man, they ain't my kids. I'm not doing nothing. I've heard a lot of them that said, yeah, you say that, but I ain't doing it. They ain't my kid. I'm not doing it. All right, so what's going to happen then? Now you see the effects of it, brothers and sisters. Now you see. We can't find our daughters to marry off anybody. We can't find our sons to marry off to anybody. This is the effects of not raising these kids. Now you see it. Even though people talk about I ain't doing that. That's not my child. Why I got to do it? Actually, somebody got to do it. Then you know what they say, like the khutbah said 2 weeks ago. It's the principle. It's not mine. It's the principle. It's the principle. I know it's the principle. It's not your child. Who's going to raise the child then? Who? Oh, I don't know, but you know, it's not my child. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Why do these children got to suffer on both angles? The father that his mistake, the child got to suffer for the father that laid down with the woman. Then he got to get abused by what? The stepfather. The stepfather come in and treat him like he's garbage, and it keeps acting like, oh man, I don't feel like raising this kid. It ain't mine at the end of the day. So why does this child got to suffer from both angles? What did he do? You understand? You get it? That's what I'm saying, everyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now how many times I've said the narrations, you step up to raise your children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless your provisions. I know a brother who raised I've known him since the 90s. He raised about 6 or 7 kids that wasn't his. He is financially stable. Because he took on the job to raise those kids like they was his. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him. Expanded his provisions. Drives a nice car, everything. Everything your people adore in the dunya. Got a nice car, everything. And he still talks about his kids. That's my child. That's my son. He doesn't make them feel like they're stepchildren. Doesn't make them feel like that. You understand, everyone? Good. Anything else? Anything else? بقي شيء؟ طيب صح. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.